What is that? What happened to you this weekend?
Well, I don't know. New Focus show, good show. A lot of great talent on the show. Chloe was on the show last week along with Johnny Brick.
I thought you guys were friends.
I thought we were too. Slight misunderstanding. I don't know, but anyway, maybe we'll have to have her back on the show. I think we got our wires crossed a little bit, so we'll see what happens. But anyway, the Enhancement talent is here. It is Monday, and Eric Cornish along with the Rob.
Hey now.
We're
Thank you
ready
for tuning in.
Yeah, we're ready to talk wrestling. A lot of backstage stuff happened this past week.
I feel like this is just one of those state of the business enhancement talents. Like a lot happened this weekend. For example, quickly, what are your thoughts about Ricardo Rodriguez leaving us?
It's a kind of a shame because he was a pretty talented, entertainer, I think. And to be honest with you, not a bad wrestler. And I think what hurt him was his body. He never had, the WWE body. I think they probably wanted him to lose weight, but he could still wrestle like a luchador and did oftentimes under a mask. So it's kind of a shame that they didn't find a place for him. But.
I know a lot of serious wrestling fans like Ricardo. I was indifferent to him. He didn't move my radar one way or another, which is bad.
Well, to me, I know you're not a big fan of Del Rio, and
no,
nor am I. But I think Ricardo Rodriguez was the best thing about Del Rio.
Well, what does that say about Del Rio?
I know. I know.
So are you surprised? I'd say not so much.
No, and I think from what I saw on Twitter, it looked like it might have been a mutual parting of the ways. He said he was he missed wrestling and didn't get to wrestle a whole lot. He did a little bit in NXT. El Local was his kind of gimmick under the mask that he would.
I didn't know he was in NXT.
Yeah, he would do the NXT stuff, and he did some dark matches too as El Local. Whenever he was under the mask. So, again, when you're a luchador that's not quite small enough, he was bigger than most luchadors, and he didn't quite have that that svelte body.
It's the wrong kind of chubby. There's a certain amount of fat you can be. Like very fat is okay, but a little fat like Ricardo was not good.
Or even like a Samoa Joe, which is why I don't think he'll ever make it in WWE because of his body style.
Are you doing a sunglasses gimmick? Or are you doing a heel kind of thing?
Oh, the sunglasses here? I don't know why they're up here. They're just
good. You got your haircut. You got the shades. I didn't know if you're doing a heel kind of gimmick or what.
Hey, I'm just a nice guy. I'm telling you what. All I try to do is help people. But no, anyway, we're past all that right now. Let's talk about speaking of getting released. Some other NXT guys, by the way. There was 4, 5, 6 NXT guys got released. Nobody that I really recognize except for Garrett Dillon, who is the son of Chris Christopherson, legendary country singer-songwriter and actor. So wish him the best in his future endeavors. I never saw him work. So
are you proud that I know Chris Christopherson?
I am proud.
How about I know him, but not his son, the wrestler?
How about that? That's pretty good. So anyway, wish them all well. And then 55 employees inside of WWE headquarters. Big deal. I mean, cost cutting big time here.
7% of the employees. First of all, I didn't realize they had almost 900 employees working for them. But
it's great. I mean, it's a major corporation, but cutting back big time.
I would assume that the ones they let go of must have been pretty expendable. Mm-hmm. Wrestling is in a different state than it was 10, even 7 years ago. And now with this change and the stock price being down, sometimes cuts have to be made. Now they have investors to answer to, and they have stockholders and stuff like that. So sometimes they just kind of have to.
Word is folks that have only been on for a few weeks to folks that have been around for like 20 years.
Yeah,
were cut. The biggest thing in this for me, and not that it's a big surprise, but I think is the biggest milestone, is that this will mean the end in October will be the very last issue of the WWE magazine.
Well, unfortunately, and I've done video blogs in the past before, bemoaning the loss of publications like Nintendo Power and other video game magazines, or just magazines that I grew up. I hear even like Playboy is like maybe facing death, and like those are things like I can't believe it's happening to magazines in general.
Right, print media is dying. We all know that. But it's still it's sad. I mean,
yes.
Considering the issues of WWE magazine that I had, back to WWF magazine, I still remember some of the iconic covers with Andre the Giant and Hogan on the cover, nose to nose, with just Andre on the cover, with Miss Elizabeth on the cover. I mean, the first woman to be just by herself on the cover. I still have that, those issues. I mean, it's just so iconic for so many years, and so many of it was always the inside, the stuff that they put in there was always kind of cheesy, even especially into the Attitude Era until they started the Raw magazine, which became a little more insider.
I remember the first Raw magazine. I remember when that magazine became. That shows you how good the magazine business was back in the day. There were two for a while, and then Raw became the WWF magazine, and SmackDown became the Raw magazine. And remember, there was a Raw and SmackDown magazine for a minute. I remember I was a subscriber. In 6th grade, I got my first subscription, and the very first one I got in the mail, I was so excited. I was a new wrestling fan at the time, too. It was Undertaker posing with a bike.
Nice.
And I didn't even know Undertaker was into bikes at the time. This was before all that stuff. But it was probably 95-ish, like early 95-ish. I remember when I loved the magazine, stuff inside of it included Shawn Michaels and Alundra Blaze advice to the Lovelorn.
Oh, yes.
I remember for a little while, Bret Hart's son, I think it was
Dallas,
had a column. What else? There was a comic book with wasn't it like Vince Russo wrote it or something?
Well, Vince Russo was, before he became a head writer, was the head of the magazine. And also posed as Vic Venom. Who always tried to, throw out the little secrets. And I'll miss that. That's, I've always missed it anyway, because going into, say, a Walgreens or something, they had the wall of magazines. Remember, you used to be able to find like 10 different wrestling magazines, from Pro Wrestling Illustrated to the WOW magazine that was out for a while, WWF and WCW, and now you're lucky if you can find any wrestling magazines at all.
Like, that was what my mom really fostered reading for us. So anytime we would have an interest in stuff like that, she'd be happy. Like if we were going on a road trip or a vacation, if I wanted to get like 3 or 4 wrestling magazines, she'd be happy to do it because I'd be reading them. And I remember, first of all, WOW was a great magazine, underrated. PWI is one of the most important licensed wrestling magazines. But WWE magazine, I have boxes of them in my house. I don't throw those away.
Right.
I remember when Christian came by the studio a few years ago now, he brought some WWE magazines. I have a signed one from Christian.
Very cool.
And just to mention some epic covers. I remember when I was a subscriber, they used to have trading cards in there. Like you just kind of could rip them off or whatever.
Right,
There's all sorts of good stuff happening in there. And of course, great pictures from the pay-per-views, bright and colorful magazines, the shop catalog with the overpriced video games.
Yeah, I mean, but let's go back even further. How about like the Tito Santana T-shirt, the Ariba on the front, Let's go way back to the King Kong Bundy.
Before my time.
But anyway, I loved him, so it's a sad day. It's not surprising, again, if you're going to cut something, that spend more time on the website and say goodbye to the magazine. But
if you want a place
it's a sad day
where you could find the Royal Rumble Super Nintendo video game for $90, $89.95 with shipping and handling, check the magazine. If you want to pay twice,
there it is.
Or how about, hey, do you want to see your favorite SummerSlam on Coliseum Home Video? I think $80 will cover it.
Sure. And if you want to see all of the new WWE figures that will be out over the next season, but you will never find them in the store, they're in that center ad with the Undertaker, and he's got them all like right there lined up.
That's right.
Good luck finding Kamala. It ain't gonna happen. Anyway.
Well, WWE magazine, rest in peace.
Yes.
We have fond memories of you mostly as children. I don't have many fond memories as a grown up with the magazine, but for the most part, always enjoyed what you put out. And just rest in peace to the magazine format in general.
Yes, indeed. And thank you for joining the Enhancement Talent today. Do you have any specific memories about WWE magazine or Garrett Dillon or anybody that's been released? Just go ahead and leave us your comments, and we'll see